Okay, part 3, I'm going to compare the criteria with the application. The first one I'll go through is the application by Hodan Hirut, who is the Somalian woman who wants to teach women English and to produce a booklet and the website. She gets quite a lot out of the experience in terms of qualification and also furthering her skills. It would benefit the community because there is a need for, there is a skills disparity between Somalian men and Somalian women. Certainly when I've been in contact with Somali community groups, the men have been very active, but I've not had any contact with Somalian women. So there is a need, she's identified a need. The problem is that this project fails because when you look at whether it's clearly defined as realistic goals, it completely falls down. There's no rationale for wanting. There's a number of different factors. There's no evidence to support the applicant's suitability for undertaking the project. Does she have a graduate? How good is her English? Does she have a graduate qualification, which you'll need to get on the TEFL course, which is a prerequisite? Does she have the experiences to facilitate a group of women talking about something extremely traumatic? Does she have the skills to actually edit these experiences and create a booklet from it? There's a number of different reasons. We don't really know. She's not mentioned essential things like a computer, which you'll need for the work. Also, premises, where will all these meetings take place? She's talked vaguely about meeting in women's houses. That raises issues about physical safety. I mean, she's going into strangers' houses. The other thing is, she doesn't seem to be embedded in the community because she said she will recruit 10 Somali women who will talk about their wartime experiences. How? Where from? All in all, I think this application has to be rejected because it's wildly ambitious. I very much doubt she'd be able to achieve this in a year, even if she was a writer, psychotherapist and a teacher rolled into one. The other factor is that she could actually have some very undesirable effects. It could leave a group of women open after relating extremely traumatic experiences, and there could be breaches of confidentiality. It could be an absolute minefield. So that's my reason for rejecting that. I think maybe she needs support, and if she were to put in an application saying she wanted to gain a teaching qualification, go to a local community centre and teach women English, then there's every reason to reconsider the bid, and it would be of great benefit, and it's an important issue, but not as it stands. So that's the first one. That's Hodan Hirut, and I would recommend that it's thrown out completely. It's rejected. The second one I'll talk about is David Rogers. He is the chap who wants to build a community garden with the local children. Does it meet personal objectives? Yes. He contributes and he shares his passion. The second criteria is it benefits the community, it provides a resource, it's a source of pride, it involves a local community and environment, it teaches children gardening skills, gives them access to a garden and encourages them to invest in their environment. Clearly defined realistic goals, yes, he's got the teaching skills and the gardening experience to make it achievable. He's also got the support of the local school. Reasonable timetable, yes, but he'll need to act quite, yes, you could achieve that. I think it's achievable within a year. Measurable outputs, there's very visible outputs before and after, and also it'll be documented by the school because his teaching of the children will be part of the curriculum or the project's undertaking. Now, the sticky wicket on this one is other funding. I'm certainly aware of there's a lot of money in Southwark for regeneration funds. You can apply to the local council, educational and environmental trust can be approached as well as Children's Society. He's got the language skills, he's got the experience to be able to put in quite strong proposals. So that's the sticky wicket on this one. What I would suggest with this one is that the applicant is encouraged to apply elsewhere, possibly if the trust would like to support him in some way, they could make a gesture, they could give him part of the money. He's asking for £1,500, they could give him part, or maybe pay for the bench or an aspect of the project to show support. But I think really he can get that money from elsewhere. Now with David Rogers, there's just one element. He's actually part of Eric Lomax's service veteran group. I know Eric Lomax is either a trustee or a patron of this charity, so I'm not aware of what that group does. There might be some very relevant connection which I'm not able to draw out from the information I've got. But it seems that he could be very easily funded from elsewhere. Maybe he could be told to, if he doesn't get success elsewhere, to come back and, yes, we'll fund him if we can. Something like that. Okay, so that's two I would reject, or one I would definitely reject, and the second one, part accept, maybe part accept with conditions. The last one I would suggest that we take it on board, that we fund it, and that's Roger Dory, who wants to set the five-a-side football team. It meets his personal objectives because he gets to learn, he can demonstrate a skill in this country and learn coaching. It benefits the community. 10 boys get to learn a skill. It increases bonds and their self-esteem, and it's a leisure activity. It eases pressure off the family unit because they'll be out for 2 hours every week and engage in something they enjoy. It's got clearly defined realistic goals, yes. It's achievable, he's thought it out. A reasonable timetable, yes. Measurable outputs. There's the qualification that he will gain. There's also the number of games the boys played, and the fact that a league exists and a football team exists. Other funding, right, now this is the client who's likely to have difficulty because of language barriers and also his asylum seeker status. As far as I'm aware, sports sponsorship is difficult to obtain, and the council is unlikely to fund an unknown individual, particularly with indeterminate status. It reduces exclusion. Football unites cultures, or can cause conflagrations really. The boys have a skill they can use at school, so forth, so on. Improves the quality of life, yes, for the teenagers, and integrates the community. And it does break down the barriers. Competing with teams will integrate youngsters and form bridges, and the fact there's a Cameroon team, five-a-side team, in the league, football five-a-side league, will actually also raise awareness. So I would support Roger Dory's application for the five-a-side. Part support David Rogers with his garden, and definitely reject Hoden Hirut, and ask him maybe to rethink or get some support putting in another application. The one thing I haven't talked about, but I'm assuming is covered in some way, is child protection issues. I haven't mentioned that because I'm assuming that you have a policy or a way of dealing with those. So, thank you. Thank you.